Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to Gilbert and Bell Live. Today I have four special guests with me, really long-time friends from school, from childhood, and I'm honored to have them all on this platform because I'm really proud of each of these gentlemen. And if you don't know me, I'm Gilbert and Bell, KSAC credential alcohol and substance abuse counselor, and I have a master's in social work. But I'm much more than that. I'm also, an entrepreneur, and I'm out here trying to make, something out of something. So before we get started, I'll let everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll jump right into it. We'll start with you, Kehinde.
Yeah, how you doing, guys? I'm Kehinde Gaynor. Me and Gilbert have been friends since high school, so we keep in contact a lot. I live in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I do marketing, media, and all kind of technical stuff. I have a wife with 3 kids. I've been married 16 years, and I just, I'm interested in this dialogue that Gilbert is trying to have tonight, so I'm really interested in where it's going to go.
All right. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Dr. Sean Brown. I've known Gil since like 92, 93, back in high school. And, I'm lifelong educator. I'm a high school principal. Just received my PhD in urban education, specializing in educational policy and leadership, and studying Africana studies. So I'm really happy to be here. I also started my own business as an educational consultant business where I work with families and superintendents and principals. And my focus is on Black and brown children and figuring out ways to improve their educational outcomes. So privileged to be here with my guys. They knew me before all of this, so they probably laughing. It's probably hilarious, but that's another story for another time. So thanks, Gil, for inviting me.
No problem. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Dinero. Gilbert knows me as Danny, childhood friend for many years, Very proud of this guy. First and foremost, I'd like to give you thanks for putting me on this opportunity right now, man. Very interested in the subject matter, which is fatherhood. Feel like we both have a lot to put into that. Let's see. I'm currently in North Carolina, from Brooklyn, New York. Have my own media publishing business, James Vision. Also have a joint venture with my brother called Money Machine Team. Got some music coming on the way, but that's another story. Shameless plug. But basically, just here to support my man and everything he does. I'm proud of you, and I just want to say hey to all the fellas.
Right. And Pop, get there.
Okay, my name is Opati, also known as DJ Pop. I'm a DJ studio engineer. Born and raised Brooklyn, New York. I know Gilbert just like childhood days and lived across the street on the same block. Now live in Pennsylvania, but I'm definitely I go back and forth between Pennsylvania and to New York frequently to do parties and events and stuff like that. So.
All right. So once again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys coming up here, and I do return the love. Looking at this panel, I'm like, damn, a lot of us we used some shit, and we turned out pretty good.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
I'm pretty proud of us, and that kind of made me think about everybody's upbringing, So where I want to start with is I'm gonna give you some back history. I wasn't raised in a household with a father, right? So I know how important a father could be in the household, and sometimes I have resentment against that because I have contact with my father, but I really don't like to talk to him because I still hold resentment. And why? Because I've always envied the person who had the father in the house. I felt like they had an advantage and a step up, and I felt like I was at a disadvantage, and I had to, learn a lot of things on my own, or go to somebody who maybe I shouldn't have went to for some advice or for some influence. So, I wanted to speak with different individuals about What's your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel about father, your father being in the home or out the home? Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, similar to you, Gil. I didn't grow up with my dad in the household. My father was in prison from the age of about 3 to 16 years old. And I used a lot of anger that I had towards him to do the things that I was doing or trying to do in the street. But it wasn't really me. I'm not a violent person. I don't want to fight everybody, but you need something to kind of push you to do it. So I got into boxing and doing things in the street that just deep down inside I didn't feel good. So I don't know if I feel resentment as much as, I don't know if you go through this too, but there's times that I'm with my kids and I'm just watching them play in the park and I tear up a little bit because I never experienced that. So walking them to school or interacting with them, I get emotional because I'm like, I've never felt that feeling before ever. My relationship with my dad was, Sing Sing, Elmira, going to visit him, those kinds of things. But the reason that I don't feel resentment is because my mother explained everything. She talked about her side and what she did. And you didn't paint the picture that my father was altogether wrong. And also my father was very honest about what he did and what he didn't. So resentment, yeah, definitely, but more just, you just daydream about what could have been. I think that's how I was. I'm still like that. What could have been,
Right. So two things. Like, I definitely know what you're talking about when, and it's crazy because it just happened to me the other day. I was sitting on the couch watching my son watch TV, and I was just like, a feeling just came over me, almost like, I wanted to tear up. Like, it was crazy because I just enjoy. I'm like, yo, this ain't gonna be forever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just enjoying it. And then, I say resentment. Maybe, in your situation, your father did some things. I don't know the reasons behind why he did it and why he wound up with, but in my situation, my father had a choice, and even I felt like he didn't make a choice for me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, gotcha. I'm gonna make a choice for me, for my kids, not for me.
Understand.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's why it's resentment.
He had a choice to make, and you felt like he didn't choose what he should have chose.
He didn't choose what he should have chose.
Got you.
And that, that could have stemmed from, and that happens to a lot of men. It stems from the relationship between the man and the woman, So whatever's going on with them, they take it out on the kid, And he don't get me wrong, he wasn't mean about it or nothing, but he just made a choice that, nah, come on, bro. Like, you made a whole.
Especially now, as you being a father, now it's just something you wouldn't be able to see yourself doing.
I can't.
I understand. I'm the same way, man. I understand. I kind of grew up on a different spectrum of that. Yes, I didn't have my biological father, but my mother was lucky enough to replace him with a stepfather that stepped up.
Okay.
But the crazy part about it is, I still grew up with the same feelings towards life and I guess fatherhood as you did, because now I felt like, kind of like how you just said, I felt like with Don, if he can make a decision to step up and be in my life, and he's my stepfather, why can't my biological father do that? Right. And it's still certain things that I guess we both grew up together, because I was pretty much his first son, if you would say, even though we don't say stepfather, stepson, we say father and son, because that's the only dad I know. But we both made our mistakes. I'm pretty sure he'll tell you to this day he's an honest guy. He made a lot of mistakes, so that would cause a lot of my resentment towards him as well, because I felt like, well, if my real dad was here, I wouldn't have to go through this. I wouldn't have to listen to this dude or this, that, and the third. And it just takes time. I think it's something that all men relate to, but all men relate to it when they in the position to relate to it. When they get in that mind frame, because we all take time to get there.
Right.
you have to get past the resentment, or get past enough of the resentment to get to where you are now.
Yeah, it's not a resentment in where like I said, I still contact with him. I don't contact with him as much as he wants me to. Because I'm like, man, you had your shot. So no, I'm serious.
Yeah, I definitely understand, man. That's understandable.
Because I'm sorry, cut you off.
Go ahead, fine.
No, because of me, as far as my situation, my mother and father, they had like a 50-50 split to me. You know what I mean? I was my father. I lived on both sides, my father's side and my mother's side. And then my father died when I was in high school. So him not able to see me be a father now, being able to, being able to see my growth as being a man. He died when I was in ninth grade. So I definitely understand part of what y'all said. You know what I mean? As far as being a father now and watching my kids grow, watching my kids do things.
My situation is a little different. My mom and dad divorced when I was around 4, but my dad was very active in my life. So he would be around. We would stay with him on the weekends and things like that. And it was funny because a lot of my friends that would come around, they didn't have fathers in their life. So they would really kind of be envious of the relationship that I was having with my father. And it wasn't really whole, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't in the household. So there was a lot of things that I was able to get away with. Manipulation I was able to do with my mom.
Right.
Ways I would get out of pocket because I knew that, his presence created a whole different atmosphere for my behavior. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I knew that I could get away with a lot. And I realized when I got older, man, there's a lot of things that I just don't know because I didn't have my father there in the house with me, guiding me along on a daily basis. But, I count my blessings because there are people that don't have any relationships with their
Gotcha.
father, you know what I mean? And, it shows that children, and if you're in the home with your children and in the home with the whole family unit, you can see the impact of having a mother and a father in the household together.
Definitely.
With the children. It's just it was one of those things that I was lucky enough to experience. I see the benefits of it, but I do understand, coming from those broken homes that, there's going to be dysfunction because it's not a whole unit.
Right.
Even if you don't realize, this is not functional. It's functional, but it's parts of it that is dysfunctional. Where,
but I don't even think you realize that until you get of age. Like you as you get older, then you start realizing like what's not right. All along you could feel it's not right.
There you go.
Notice it, like it's like, damn. Why I ain't have nobody there to teach me that? Because it was one thing when I was having when I decided to have children. It was my thing was, I've told every female I've been with that if you get pregnant, understand this is forever. Like we not doing the you over here, I'm over there thing. We not doing that. Because I'm not gonna have nobody else raising my child. My morals and values are not the same as the next man's morals and values. And what I believe in, or what I may want, or how I may want to influence my children, the next man may not even have that same interest. Even if he's there, like he still could be teaching them some whole other bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think for me, like something that I want everybody that's listening to know is that by and far, Black men want to be in their children's lives. Like the narrative that's portrayed on the media about absentee Black fathers is not true. The problem is they don't necessarily want to be in the mother of their child's lives. Right. And that's, like I do a lot. I speak to a lot of parents. I'm a high school principal, and you know, I have different friends that have situations, and every time the issue of, you know, a black man wanting to spend time with his child comes up, is met with a bunch of other stuff. And as soon as you do that, that's what ruins that relationship.
Yeah.
And for me, my mother made it very clear, listen, things didn't work out with me and your father. He's still a good father, and I want you to have a relationship with him, because I know down the road there's going to come a time when you're only going to listen to him.
Right.
You know, so I think, because, you know, 75% or 70% of black households are led by single parents, and sometimes the father's not present. And that's a lot of times, and I'm not saying all the time, but black men enjoy raising their children. They want to raise their children, even if they don't have the highest education, finances, whatever it is, they want to. And I just think as a people, like, we have to start understanding that it's not about, it's not about the relationship, it's about the kids. And, you know, like, I think we have to get to that space. So I just wanted to share that.
No, I think you're 100% right. One thing that I tried to, and this is when I was working with the young adults, 18 to 24, you know, and I used to tell them, like, yo, listen, take your time, you know, don't rush to have these kids, because once you have that, like, it's no longer about you, it's about them. Like, you don't matter no more. You understand what I'm saying? You bring a life into this world, it's not about you anymore. You can't go to parties, you can't hang out, you can't buy them clothes. You gotta take care of your responsibilities. And then you just jumping from female to female, yo, you're gonna hit the jackpot. You're gonna wind up with that one, oh, you want her that night, but you don't want her for the rest of your life. Like, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. And I think that's a big factor in absentee father, because individuals are really hooking up with each other, bringing these children into the world, knowing damn well they don't want to be with each other.
Yep, from the get-go. You're right.
Sure, yeah. Because I have a lot of friends, you know, they have kids. Some of them sacrifice to still be a part of the kid's life. But some of them, you know, like, I'm a DJ, so I meet guys at clubs, you know. A lot of them go home with a girl. The girl gets pregnant. They necessarily don't want to be with the girl, but now there's a baby involved, but they really don't want to take part of being part of the child's life because of they don't want to be with the girl, you know, with the girl. Mm-hmm. I tell people, listen, even as far as me and my kids, and we together, I'm still going to bust my behind to take care of my kids because those are my kids. And you know what I mean? So my thing is, I don't want nobody taking care of my kids but me. You know what I mean? That's my ultimate goal. You know what I mean? That's my thing. I never believed in that.
I don't.
Yeah, responsibility. It's about being accountable. A lot of people don't hold themselves accountable for what they do. And I think what's overshadowing that is the baby comes before you get to know the person. That's another thing that backs people up, you know, start hitting that reverse. Because now they're like, okay, now I got to look at you as a mother instead of looking at you as who I saw in the club. You know what I'm saying? So now I got...
That's dress up. You in the club.
Yeah. The truth also is that, like, I feel like some black men, they misunderstand what it means to be in a child's life, right? Like, you don't have to have $1 million and be perfect and everything else. Yeah. Just a text message, a phone call. I believe in you. I think you're great. How are you doing? How was your day? Like, my father was in prison. He had nothing to offer me but words of encouragement and positivity and good job. And once in a while, he'll send $10 because he worked, I don't know how many hours. Yeah, he was locked up. But that made an impression on me, because even now I still call him and I reach out to him. So I think a lot of black men, they're fearful because they have this perception of fatherhood like it's just unbearable and you just can't. It's fun, like it's a good time, you know what I mean? So I feel like guys that, especially our brothers that are being neglectful, because there are some men that are neglectful now.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Like, it's some deadbeats. Simplify it. It's not that hard. A call, a text message, walk them to school once in a while, And that's your biggest asset when you get older. You're gonna need somebody to wipe your behind. When you can't,
you don't know.
Hey,
investment, bro. It's an investment.
Hey, I definitely believe in that one.
Yeah.
So like, I'm go ahead, Danilo, sir.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I definitely agree with what he was saying. It's like I have 2 children right now, my middle children, my 2 girls that are in Atlanta, and I don't see them as much as I wish I could see them, and that is because of, like you said, the difficulty between me and the relationship with their mother. But at the same time, I make sure I go out my way, even if it's just a text message, a DM and Instagram, a like on a picture, and I'm a comment on it. I just want them to know that I'm in their life and I'm not going anywhere. Just the fact of knowing that someone is there for you means a lot. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, especially us as young gentlemen don't realize. When we were younger, that's all we really wanted, was someone to be in our corner.
Right.
True.
But do you think that there's sometimes these men that they're having a lot of times unprotected sex, they're getting women pregnant and just like, whoa, I ain't signed up for all of this, and just bouncing. You know, I know that you have a lot of men that want to be in their kids' lives, but then you have a lot of men that just don't want the responsibility of being a father or being or taking care of someone else. You know,
that goes back to what I said before, as far as like, you know, I'm a DJ, I meet people in the clubs, you know, they take these girls home, sleep with the girl end up getting pregnant. The guy don't want to be around because the guy that signed up for all that, he just want to get hit, you know what I mean, a one night stand to go home about his business, but something else happened, you know what I mean? And he, you know, and my thing is, he chose not to be around. You know, because I'm pretty sure if they could at least work something out, it could have been a little bit better for the child itself in the picture. You know what I mean?
No, it'd be a whole lot better. Trust and believe. I don't care what nobody tell me. 2-parent homes are the ultimate guide to raising a child. One thing. All right. So real quick before I even go into that, the point that you guys made about just those little things that mean so much to a child. I ask individuals those little things. You know, I used to ask dudes like, yo, you remember the first pair of sneakers your pops brought you or your moms brought you? Do you remember anything that they brought you from when you was young? And most of the time they can't. You know, it may be that one thing like, oh yeah, I remember I got this. I'm talking about like the first thing. And it's like, nah. So I'm like, you remember who taught you how to ride a bike? You remember who took you to the park? Remember who spent that birthday with you? Yeah, it was this person, it was that. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, like, you could buy your kid 1,000 pair of Jordans. They not gonna remember that. They gonna remember when you took them and showed them how to ride the bike. They gonna remember you took them on a trip and spent some time with them. Like, this is the things that dudes need to understand. It's not about materials. It's about that time spent, that quality time spent.
Yeah, it's simple, man. Like, you can't, like, for me, it's like you can't buy back, like, seeing your dad in the stands while you playing ball, just once, or even sitting down to have dinner with your father.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. As a child, I don't even know what that feels like to sit down and have dinner. Amazing to me. I started dating my wife when I was about 22, 23 years old, and I'd go to her house, and her father raised her with her mom and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go in, and every Sunday they would just have dinner.
Right.
And I was so uncomfortable. I was like, what's everything all right? And it's like, no, we're just having dinner, just talking. They had conflicts with each other, and he would have family meetings. I was like, what? Like, what is and then, but this is how it translates also. This is how it translates. Then you grow up, and brothers wonder why they have so much anger and animosity towards people in positions of authority. They wonder why it's hard to be positive to another brother and say, hey man, you're doing a good job, and just show love.
Right.
All that is that's issues you got with your pops. Anytime you see a man that wants to fight everybody all the time, and he's angry and you thug life every other day, yo, go and call your dad, man. Go and hug him and say, I forgive you. That's what you need to do. So it has issues that manifest in little ways that you don't realize. And I saw it in myself. And then I realized, like, I'm not bringing this to my children. Like, my wife is not going through this. I'm not gonna be like not able to be affectionate with my kid. And no, that it ends here. So you end that generational curse by being able to face your own issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's key what you're saying as far as generational curses, Sean, because that is something that is super real. And it's funny, like, you know, I'm listening to you talking about when you met your wife's family, and it's kind of the same thing with me. My wife's family, they came through, their whole family were together, you know, they weren't separated. And they would have the meetings and they would have the dinners, and it was like a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, well, I've never experienced this. So it is something that you feel like you possibly without for a long time, and that it's something that you can bring to your family. You know what I'm saying? You can do with your family. You can build on those types of things with your family. And I think it just makes the family unit stronger. When you're able to, like this pandemic is a good example of getting back to those core basics of spending time with the family, because that's what you were forced to do. And I'm sure a lot of dysfunction came out of that, because there's some homes that are dysfunctional. And there were some homes that got closer together, and people hunkered down. And, you know, I think that's one of those things we have to pay attention to is, you know, what are we seeing on a daily basis that we think is normal? You know, we're growing up thinking our life is normal. It's not supposed to be like that. You know, it might need to be like that for the circumstance, but it's something better out there. A lot of us don't really get to experience it.
I'm looking at you guys' example, right? And I say, you know, because even my wife's side of the family taught me some things that was a little different too. But what if you don't have that? Like nobody is there to show us these examples. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't know this. And I think that's why I think this discussion is so important, because a lot of times men feel alone. Like they feel like they're the only one going through some shit. Like, and you know what's crazy? I know I don't speak to all of you all the time, but I speak to some of you sometimes, and I speak to other people, other men, and it's so crazy that they're going through the exact same problems, issues, you know, trials, tribulations as I am, and I'm sitting there like, when I'm, you know, in my own space, like, why is happening to me? It's only me.
Yeah. You know, well, that, to me, I think, not to go too deep into it, but when you study African tradition, we've been Americanized and we've been Westernized in a way where in a Western society, everything is competition. It's not like that back home. Everything is community back home. Everything, how do we build each other up? So what happens is we start to adopt some of the behaviors of our oppressor, where everything is top down, and you have more money than me, and if you're better than me. Now it's become like this competitive thing, and we don't want to show weakness. I don't want to show hurt, and I don't, you know, I'm competing against you, and we're not in a place as a people to be competing against anybody. Listen, man, I'm not in a space psychologically based on what's going on in this world to be in competition with you. And if I feel there's any kind of energy like that, I just move away from it. You got it, if you want it. Because it has to get to a point where something that other folks and other cultures got is they understand solidarity. And I think Black folks don't understand solidarity. Solidarity means I just met De Niro. I don't know him, but I'm rooting for him. Brother, if there's any way we can connect, business, anything else, let's do that. And we just got to keep it that simple. I don't got to be your best friend. I don't got to know you for 30 years. You look like you're trying to do something positive, and that's it. And I feel like you got to get there. You got to get to that point. You know what I mean? So that's just my thing.
Support. That's it. You're right. Positive support.
I think, Gilbert, going back to the question where you were saying how through people that aren't exposed to those conversations around the table, or those environments where they're seeing a family unit working. I would say that, there's gonna come, like, I've had mentors, I've had older guys that have brought me along the way that kind of took me into their wing, but it really took me having a lot of humility, because, my ego would get in the way, attitude, all of those things were getting in the way, and I had to kind of just put all that to the side to allow myself to be a little vulnerable, to learn something, to be in a situation that might not be comfortable at the time, and that's what it takes. I mean, it's just that simple, is that you have to do things that are not going to be easy. Have those conversations that are not going to be easy in order to grow and go to the next place, or to be influenced, or to be exposed to something that you would have never thought of, or would never put yourself in.
Okay. So one thing I had, it used to get me in trouble when I used to be in school, because I used to like to debate a lot. And one argument that I used to bring up is that society has destroyed the nuclear family, and, how they portray what family is. Now, don't get me wrong, I know it's 2020 and there are all different types of varieties of family, right? But growing up, I remember on TV seeing father, mother, son, daughter, maybe even a dog, and that was across mainly all platforms, whether, white and black. It showed that. A lot of shows now either highlight single parents, two roommates of the same sex, two parents of the same sex, single parent, co-parenting. One, they're not together, but they raising a child together. I don't see no more nuclear family, no more father, mother, son, daughter, dog. That whole picture. To me, that sets an impression on what a family is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So my question is, do you think that fathers are going extinct?
Well, I think, like, to your point, I don't want to talk too much. If I'm talking too much, just tell me to just
no, not at all.
But it's something I'm passionate about. It's like, if you think about it, this was done systemically. It's not, you just emotional and you angry. It was done systemically, specifically to black families. So if you think about the welfare program, in order to get food stamps, you'd have to lie and say you don't live with your husband, or they wouldn't give you money for food stamps, Section 8, all these different forms of government assistance. So black men became liabilities financially to black females. It was literally not wise to be with a black man in your household. So that was done on purpose. If you look at Planned Parenthood and look at all these different things that's set in place, it's clear that there's a concise, specific decision to eliminate the black family. It's not, there's no emotions about it. It's just the truth. It's what's happening. And the reason is because they understand that when black men are in any space, eventually we dominate. It just is. And again, I'm not upset. I'm not an angry black dude. I'm saying you put us in NASCAR, you put us on ice skates, you put us anywhere, it's going to happen. So we have to find different ways to get these people off the same page. Now, in terms of sexuality, I have family members that are gay. I have family members that are lesbian. And they say, these are people that I love and I care about. And they'll point out, that the agenda is ... This is the agenda for this show. And I'm like, really? I thought it was just, trying to diversify it. They'll say, no. Let me tell you the difference.
Thank you.
And so I need to hear from people from that community though. I don't want to make the wrong judgment call, but it happens in that way. And I feel like for us, it's not our job to tell anybody how to live their lives or to tell media what to put out and everything else. My argument is just be balanced. That's all I'm saying. Just be balanced.
Not to cut you off, brother, but that's why the argument started in class, because my classmates felt that I was coming at that community and I was saying like, oh, this is not right. And I'm like, but that's not what I said. What I'm saying is this is how they portrayed it, but they no longer do that and they only portray this. So why isn't there both to say that this is healthy also? All of these are healthy. Why you completely took away this picture? That gotta tell you something.
And also, you have to look at statistics, right? If 75% of Black families are being led by single-parent households, why wouldn't you use media to try and portray a picture that people could see on a regular basis and say, oh, wow, I like that? For example, Blackish, right? I look at that show regularly with the family.
Okay.
Right? That we don't have many shows like that. So before that, I used to just replay the Cosbys over and over again, because that's all I had. I just had to find something. Then he did what he did with this little Cosby, this little splash. I was like, oh snap. So it's like all I'm saying is he hurt my heart. He did. I still love Heathcliff though, but not the other dude. I don't know.
I love the whole message, but
you know what I mean? So I just feel like we need to be balanced in what we do. Propaganda is real. Conditioning is real. If you keep looking at something over and over again, it affects you, and it creates, this bad image of Black men. We could play basketball, we could play football, we get locked up and shot, but being a good father, that's not gonna sell.
It's not Black men.
So
do you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Now, what you think, Danilo?
I was just basically gonna say, if you notice, a lot of the toughest, roughest dudes that you know from the block, or some of the images that you see, you rarely get to see them as a father. And you want to know why? Because that's when you see the vulnerability in them. A lot of people that I know that was the hardest people in the world, they'll sit here and say the same thing we're saying right now. Yo, man, sometimes I look at my kid and I be like, man, I ain't going back to what I was doing.
That's what I love.
I'm not going back to that.
Live show. It's the Gilbert and Bell live show. We got live examples of that, Dadero. Right here with the glasses on.
Hey.
With the clean head. Yo,
hey.
He calm right now, but once was that same person you talking about.
But that's what it is, man. And that, but look at how he is now, though. Like he said, his children, he's not going to repeat the cycle. He's not going to let what drove him drive his children.
And that's a beautiful.
And that's what it is. It's acceptance and knowing what you got and what you had going on in your life and what made you go through what you went through, and deciding, I don't want that for mine. Mm-hmm. Period. Yeah. And it's a lot of men out here that want to make that decision, but they're afraid to make that decision because of what they had.
Yo, that's the thing. Like, they so scared because they still trying to impress somebody that don't have no value in their life.
They trying to press the block. You can't press the block. You gotta press your kids.
I used to tell people, like, when I decided to make my change, right? I had people like, yo, why you doing that? Like, yo, forget that. Like, come back to the block. Yo, we got this, we got that. And dudes was getting bread at the time. Like, yo, we getting it. Come on. And I'm like, nah. And in my mind, I was like, I don't care what they think about me. I don't care. Because what used to get me hyped? When I walk in the door after I come from work and my kids run up to me, Daddy.
Dude, that is a high that you never thought you would have. And I'm real. I feel you on that. I go to that every day. And that is something I wouldn't chance for the world, man.
I make my kids
period.
They don't want to. Even if they don't, that's good. for like 3 minutes, bro. Since they was babies. All right, everybody line up. Daddy, daddy, and I just be sitting there like,
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna take that because my oldest getting a little shabby with it, so I'm gonna take that and get over here. Stand up.
Hey, now you can't be slacking over here. You don't want me slacking.
One time.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm talking too much.
No, see, I definitely understand that feeling, and like I feel like my oldest is 10 now, so I'm getting that. Okay, you home, so what? So what I do is I go bother her.
Right.
I'm gonna pick on you. Just to give you that attention, like, yes, I'm home. You don't want to run to me, I'm gonna run to you and pick on you now.
That's dope. That's
do
dope.
what I gotta do, but you know what I mean. Eventually, you know what I mean.
You know what
eventually,
it is?
You start laughing and get along with it, but I'm gonna bother you.
Yeah, man. It's like, for me, it's like, I don't know if this ever happened to you. Probably it did, but I was having a conversation with my son about some of his life decisions. He's 14 now, and he was trying to sit at the pool table, and I bought him the expensive sneakers and all this kind of stuff. So I started going in on hood stuff, like, yo, man, look at him, look at how he moving. He's moving funny, like, you gotta see him. Now, mind you, I live in a middle class environment, and that stuff is past me. So every time I start to talk like that, you're like, oh snap, Brownsville. And then I just catch myself and I'm like, all right, I'm probably on.
And you know what, Sean, that was so like we and I do that a lot too. So, that's why I'm laughing so hard. Is because my son has no clue what that life is like. And that's the blessing, is that he doesn't know.
Right.
But it's
right.
I'm looking at his life through the view of my lens. And I'm like, well, you got to be careful out here. And it's like, well, it's a different world for him.
Yeah, like, dude. So Gilbert and Widger, y'all know how I give it up. I'm clean right now. Things is different. So he had a problem with a kid, and I'm like, yo, we going up to the school. As soon as he get off the bus, you punching him in his mouth. Pop, 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 pop. So I get in front of the school security watching me funny, and they're about to fall kind of stuff. And he said, Dad, I understand the kid pushed me or whatever it is. But, one of the options is I could just not be his friend. That's possible, right? I could just... And I talk to him anymore. I said... That's it. I have to. I gotta make sure I'm not creating.
Yo, you gotta be crying, bro.
I'm not creating a 3 train all over again.
Crazy because I be like, sometimes I think I be spazzing too much on especially my daughter, because like, say something don't get cleaned up, I'll be like, yo, man, what you living in a trap house? You don't know what it's like to live in a trap house? And I just
oh my God. She probably like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
He's looking at me like,
what's
I don't
that?
know what a trap house is, but
and then it's like, they not even afraid of me. Like I try and discipline them, and they don't.
My wife be sitting there recording me when I be going into my zones, and then be showing me back myself. I be like, all right, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm going too far.
You're going too far.
Well, I go through my 21. My oldest is 21, man. My daughter is 21, and I tell you like this: we went through our roller coasters, but I wouldn't change none of it for the world. And it's funny that y'all guys say what you're saying, because she looks at me like, Dad, that's not the world you live in now. You need to change the way you think. And it's funny because you think to yourself like, what do you know? You haven't been through what I've been through. But then as you start, if you sit back and really look at what they're going through and look at some of the stuff that they have, and they're never going to be bored. But they got phones. They got this, that, and the third. The things that we did and the trials and tribulations we went through, they know nothing about, and they probably can't even visualize it. Like, what do you mean you can't walk down that block? We walk down that block and do TikToks. Like, it's just like they don't even understand what. Like my daughter says to me all the time, well, why do you go straight to anger with people when why you can't just, like you say, why you can't just talk it out? And I'm like, what you mean talk it out? That's not how we do. That's not what. And then you think about it, it's like, that is what you can do. That is the option. You know, like, wow.
Dude, like,
okay, well maybe I'm learning from them.
I think again for me it's like I realize that sometimes you got to be careful. You might create a monster that you can't fix later on. So if you put the battery in their back and you're like, yeah, you got to fight, and you feel like that's cool. Now they get older and they start beating on their wife, and you say, I don't know where they got it from. Really, you don't know where they got it from. You know, so it's like for me, that's our success. Our success is that our kids laugh at us when we talk like that. That's success. That's a beautiful thing. They don't even understand violence to that extent. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get it, and that's the beauty of good parenting and good fathers, which you guys are, is that my kid never has to. They think our anger is a joke. That's a beautiful thing. There's kids that really that are getting abused physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
Our kids laugh like, oh, there go daddy again. And that's it. Can you give me some sneakers? Oh, all right, here you go. And then that's it. You know, so I think that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah. Listen, man, you know, I once again, I appreciate you guys, you know, coming up here and talking about these things. So, you know, just to close things off, just, you know, what is something that you could say that is the best thing, or what was most worthwhile as far as being a father, and what advice would you give somebody who's about to be a father or thinking about being a father?
I would say one of the best things, you know, is watching, of course, my kids grow up and have this appreciation for just all of us being together and creating a sense of family normalcy. I can remember one time my wife and I was going through it, and I had packed my bags up, and I was like, yo, I'm out. And I caught myself in the moment. I was like, this is something that a lot of men in my family have done. They've walked out. They've gave up. And, you know, I broke down right there. You know, so I was like, you know, I was hugging my kid. I was like, I can't do this. Not only to my kid, I can't do this to my family. You know, so I'll say, you know, just fight that good fight. You know, it's going to be hard. And I like to call it the beautiful struggle, because that's exactly what it is every day is sometimes going to be a struggle in this life when it comes to, you know, your family life. But if you can hold on and keep them together, that's when you see the beauty of it all. You know, it's when you stick in and you hang in there. And you do those small things, do those things that might not seem important to you, but it means the world to your kid. And you do it because it ain't about you. It's about someone else. So I would say, yeah, just do it, like Nike.
All right, Danilo?
Well, I think the most important thing I learned through fatherhood was the knowledge of making a mistake and being able to choose to repeat that mistake. Like I said, my oldest is 21, and we went through roller coasters. And I took the knowledge from my mother of, you're going to push her away. You're going to push her away until I pushed her away. And then the flip side of that was the fact that even though I pushed her away, I instilled enough of me inside of her that she was able to calmly come back to me and work on our relationship together. So the important thing that I learned was I can make a mistake and change it. It's not a one road thing where you have to be this certain person all your life, the whole fatherhood. You're gonna make mistakes as a father. And that's what I would tell someone that's about to become a parent. You're gonna make mistakes, a whole lot of them. But it's the choice you make after that mistake that makes you either a good parent or a bad parent.
That's it.
Just like he just said, he could have walked away. He chose not to because he said it was a bigger picture involved.
Right.
So that would be something I would tell a future parent. You're gonna make mistakes, but it's up to you to make the right choices to correct them.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Sean?
I would say go and reach out to your father if he's still around and reconcile whatever past issues you have. You know, say what you need to say. You know, my father set me free in a sense where at a very young age, he always said, speak your mind. And this is, you know, while this guy's in prison and all that, he was like, listen, speak your mind. If you're mad at me, speak your mind. If you're happy, whatever it is, speak your mind, because that gave me the courage to face the world, because I was able to really speak to my dad and tell him how I felt and everything else. So I think a lot of us as Black men, we got to reach out to our father. And if the father's not around, speak to your moms and tell your mother to be honest about what really happened. Say, you know, please don't just tell me your side of the story. What really took place? Why isn't he around? Just to get that closure so you can move on and be a good father. And sometimes if your pops is not around, or if he's dead or whatever it is, that's where journaling comes in. That's where therapy comes in. That's where a social worker like Mr. Bell comes in. Reach out to a person and say, listen, this is what I need help with. And also in terms of being a parent, man, you get to do all the things that you wanted somebody to do for you. Everything that you wanted. Like that's a beautiful feeling, bro. Like that just to think, all I do is I think about all the stuff I wanted and I give it to my kids. Just so they can have, not material things, but spending time, hug, you know, telling them I love them, all that different kind of stuff. So you get to give another human being all the things you always wish you had. So I love it. I love being a father.
Thank you.
As far as me, my thing is, me as a father, I listen to my kids. I tell people, you know, listen to your kids. Because I tell my daughter, if you think I'm doing wrong, tell me, explain to me why. So I know how to fix it different to make us both comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, because that's my biggest thing. Is to, you know what I mean, listen to your kids. Be open-minded. And also taught me patience. You know, because me, I was always hard-headed. I saw my way, and that was the only way. But this told me, okay, it can't work my way. Especially me, I got girls. So it's a whole nother. I can't just look at things my way no more. It's like I got girls. I got to think about their sensitivity, their creativity, whatever they're going through. You know what I mean? That was what I learned from being a fatherhood. You know what I mean? And what I tell people.
Okay. Just to answer my own question, you know, father, with being a father at perfect, like I don't know everything, like, you know, and my children constantly remind me that I don't know everything, you know.
That's real.
So, you know, and as much as I try to impose my vision on them, they're their own people, and you know, you have to allow them to be their own people. They are an extension of you, and this is my own theory. You know, I say eternal life comes through your children. Like you eternally live through your children. So you gotta cultivate that. You gotta take care of that. How do you want to be? Who do you want to be when they are 20, 30, 40, 50? They're going to be their own person, but that is also you. That's you. You understand what I'm saying? So it be times where I really just sit down and I just bask in the moment of being a father. Like, this is one of the greatest feelings, you know, because that's me. Like, look at me, you know. And I tell, you know, if you're about to be a father, look, it ain't easy. It's not easy. But you got to be open. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to think outside the box and all those things that come with being uncomfortable. So, like they said, the beautiful struggle. Like Sean said, you know, saying what's on your mind, getting it out, and letting go of those ill feelings. like De Niro said, like learning from your mistakes and, you know, being able to make amends. And like Pi said, listen, listen, you know, you gotta listen sometimes. So if you're about to be a father, just know you're about to be in for some stuff. If you ain't ready for that, you know, take your time, bro. Take your time.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about it, you know, all day, you know, because we were gonna have this talk, and it's something I always thought about with my dad. You know, he's been really good, even though he wasn't in the home. But I realized there's a lot of things that I couldn't learn from him. A lot of things he couldn't teach me because he didn't have it. And we have these expectations for our fathers. Well, you didn't give me this, you didn't give me that. There's a lot of things that they cannot give me. He couldn't give me, that I had to get from my father-in-law or from a mentor or from other people. And I saw that as I got older, is, you know, sometimes people just don't have it to give. You know, but you still got to get it. Whatever that things that you need, you still got to get it. But sometimes, you know, they can only give you people can only give you what they got.
Right.
There you go.
All right, fellas. Listen, I really appreciate you guys coming and talking. And you know, I know I had you up here for a minute, but listen, man, this knowledge, this education, this information is needed. You know, and I hope to really have more conversation with either you guys or more brothers like yourself. If you have anybody that you know may want to join in the conversation, I talk about all different types of topics. Or if you have a topic that you want to talk about, you know, just reach out to me and we'll set it up and we'll do something. But you know, once again, thank you, fellas. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gil. Listen, Gil, you're doing some good work, man. This is important. As soon as you told me I needed to be here, I was here. So keep doing what you're doing. And you know how brothers are. People listening, but they don't want to let it be known. So keep doing what you're doing, bro.
All right.
Exactly. Same thing here, man. Appreciate the opportunity. Proud of you, man, because you know I see you. I see you. If I don't speak to you every day, man, I see you. I'm watching, man, and I tell people that's my guy right there. We went through trenches, and we definitely making each other proud. Pi, I see you, man, and other panelists. I'm just proud that we got people that see it and get it, and I'm proud of you, brothers, man. I appreciate all y'all.
Yes, sir.
Love.
All right, fellas. You guys have a good night and you stay safe. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop a new video. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you guys next time.